I, what was my line? Being true to yourself is harder than it sounds, and it's something people love to talk about. But what does that have to do with photography? Hi, I'm Abigail. I'm here to talk about photography, how I relate to it, and how I can help you get those incredible photographs. So today's episode wasn't planned in the way that I would normally plan an episode and write it out, script it, give myself a nice structure. It was inspired. Instead of thinking of an idea and thinking about how I want to talk about it, how it relates to photography, I was going through some old photo albums that I had, and I came across a photo from my 15th birthday party, and that photo just really struck me in a way that I was like, oh wow. And it's not the special photo. I mean, it's special because it's special to me, but it's not a photo that you would put up in a gallery or something that looks really incredible or is artistic or anything like that. It's not a photo which you would have expected any professional photographer to take. It was literally, I don't even remember if it was with a tripod or if the phone or camera that we took it with just got like propped up against something on a table or whatever. Maybe it was a camera, maybe a little digital camera or so. And it was put on a timer, and all of us, the whole group of everybody that was at the party, got sat on and around this couch. And at the time, it was like, I mean, it was just the photo to like see who was at the party, and it was a very special photo, and it's the type of photo that I printed and I put in a photo album. But it's not because it was this beautiful photo for whatever reason. Like, we all sat in a way that we thought looked good, etc. But there's one thing that stood out to me, and I actually have two photos, and the funny part about it is I'm kind of divided which one I like. I printed them both. I think originally I was also kind of divided on which one I liked. And I'm just going to tell you, the part that I love the most about this photo is one of my friends, and he's like 10 years younger than me. He made the most ridiculous faces. He was a little boy and just going through that phase. So I think he was actually 6 at the time, 9 years younger than me. And he was just going through that phase, 5-6-year-old boys where they cannot have a proper expression in any photo that they take. It has to always be this weird, goofy, whatever they're doing, and every parent's nightmare. And at the time, like, obviously we tried to get him to smile nicely and everybody else is smiling nicely, but he's just ridiculous. And I look back on the photo, and at the time I remember both my parents, but especially my dad when I was younger, when we were kids, because I was also that kid. I was not the kid who would look good in a group photo, or any photo for that matter. I just didn't love, like, I feel like there are certain people, and maybe you can relate to this, when you're in front of a camera, it just feels wrong. It's like you need to do something, and just sitting there smiling, looking pretty is both frustrating and like you don't like sitting still just as a person, and also it feels like you need to do more because it's a special moment and you don't know what to do, so you end up doing something goofy. But back to the point, my parents, and especially my dad, all through growing up, they would always tell us, smile, look nice. One day when you're an adult, you're gonna hate the photo because you were goofy. And I looked at this picture, and it's like, I mean, as a kid, you're like, yeah, right, no, I'm not gonna hate it. But you listen to them because, they got more life experience, or maybe you don't listen to them, whatever the thing is. And anyway, this picture from my 15th birthday, this kid was making goofy faces, like he was sitting fine, like we were all sitting, and he was making these goofy faces, and it's 2 different faces that he made in each photo. And I look at these pictures and I absolutely love his goofy faces because it reminds me so much of his personality, of what that day was like. Everyone else is smiling and it's nice and it's pretty, and I'm glad that everyone else is in the photo, but the part that I love, the part that, like, I would take that picture and printed today and put it in a brand new photo album, like, I mean, I don't have to have already printed it, but like, I love that picture so much, not because everybody's in it and everybody's sitting nicely on the couch. And that gets me to the other point. So I've got the two pictures. So the one picture, I kind of like how everybody's sitting a little bit better. But I don't like his goofy face as much in that one. It's cute, but it's not like the better face. It's actually a little less goofy in that picture. But I like how everyone's sitting and set up. And then the other picture, it's like, I would reposition people just a little bit and I would actually set it up differently, but his face is so much better, or worse. And so I actually like the worst picture better because his face is so much more expressive, even though the setup and how everyone's sitting is not exactly how I would do it, and I would rearrange people a little bit. But anyway, that is just what inspired today's video. I feel like this is not a planned video, this is just a rant. I'm just gonna speak, I'm gonna talk, and I'm gonna say what I want to say, and I'm excited. I don't want to say I'm frustrated or upset or angry. I'm just excited about this because I think it's so important to have someone tell you that those pictures that everyone else is telling you looks terrible, you might actually end up loving them 10, 20 years from now. And for me, it's exactly 10 years. I turned 25 this year. And so 10 years ago on my birthday, took this photo, and I wasn't looking for the photo. I was just going through a bunch of photo albums and I came across this one specifically, and those photos stood out to me so much more than any of the other photos. I actually don't even remember what was the rest of the photo album, but that picture, or those two pictures, really stood out to me, and I love them even now. I love them probably more now than I did before. So what are the rules that you break in your personality that doesn't fit into the norm, fit into what you've been taught? What are the things that you feel like you cannot put in a photo, you cannot put on display, you cannot live in your life? And this goes for anything. Why and how I think this relates so much to photography is that snapshot of your life, of the moments in your life, which you're going to remember forever and be able to look back on, but you need to want to look back on those moments or else those photos are going to go to waste. My mom taught me a lot of little tricks and things, and I think this, hopefully every girl has this experience with her mom of just like how to dress, how to do your hair. And it's not things like you have to do it this way, but it's like, you know, brush your hair or else it's going to be naughty and it's not gonna look great, just on a daily basis. I'm not even talking about pictures. And you have these tips and things on how to dress and making sure your clothes look neat and nice. And it's not things like structured and rigid and if you don't do this you're in trouble, but it's more like, here are the things that my mom taught me, and here's how you're going to dress to feel confident, to look good. And one of the things my mom taught me, and I remember this so clearly, I probably don't remember anything else as clearly as this, is she taught me from a very young age, and it wasn't like this big taboo rule. It was more like, you're a little girl and you don't understand colors, and so here I'm going to teach you a generally accepted rule in fashion. And what she taught me is, never wear red and pink together. I, at first, totally agreed with her, and it actually really does make sense. Red and pink can look horrible together. There are just some colors which don't mix. But then, I don't remember how it happened. At one point, I started mixing red and pink. And I realized, done correctly, red and pink is an incredible color combination. And in particular, I think it is the best when you focus on a lot of pink and you have a little bit of red to kind of highlight or complement or mix in with it. And that's exactly what I did today. I was like, let's do some red and pink. This outfit was also just like, I painted my nails and then I was like, wait, I haven't worn this shirt yet. I was like, but I've got red nails. I was like, all right, let's just try it. Let's just see how it looks. And I love this. I actually love the red nails and the pink. I feel like it's really old money, this whole look. And also kind of casual with the jeans. But the point is, there's a lot of things that people are going to teach you. And inside, you're going to go, that doesn't feel right. or that doesn't feel like me. And I think the second one is much more important. If that doesn't feel like you, if logic tells you, yes, that's the rules, but it doesn't feel like you, in particular, don't include those things in your photo shoots. Do what feels like you. Allow your personality to come out and be true to yourself when you're taking your photos, because you're gonna love those photos so much more in the future than if you followed the rules and you did what was trendy and you did what was right to do in your photo shoot. There's a quote that my dad taught us while we were growing up, and I couldn't find the source of who said this originally. I think it's an anonymous quote. But basically it goes like, love or friendship, which is how we often used it, is like playing the piano. First you need to learn to play by the rules. Then you need to forget the rules and learn to play by heart. Now my dad is a musician. He absolutely loves music. That is his primary artistic expression. And I think also with us, when we were growing up, me and my sister, we taught him a lot of other artistic expressions, and because we grew up in a very artistic family, and as we did more things such as painting and crafting and things, he would join in with that. But primarily before that, he absolutely loves music. He still loves music, very passionate about sound, music, all of these things. He plays guitar more than anything else, but he also has played piano and many other instruments. He's kind of one of those guys where he picks up an instrument and he can just play it, mostly by ear. He never really learned music theory, but this is one of his favorite sayings, and I think it's so true, and it's so important to know this, to understand the world, how the world works, what the rules are, what has been established. You don't have to go through that journey of discovery where someone else has already discovered things for you. And it's important to not say, oh, I have to discover everything for myself. I think that can be very much a waste of time. Learn from people around you, learn the rules, learn the way things are done. But once you've learned that, it is also very important to decide which parts of that is you and which parts of that is not you. What does not represent you? Find how to represent yourself in the midst of that. Learn the rules, play by the rules, and when you've become really good and you understand that, you completely forget the rules and you play by heart. The best and most talented musicians, artists, any type of creative is always going to be the one who has learned the rules so incredibly well that they can use those rules, bend them, and shape them to create something that has never been created before. For me personally, my favorite thing in life, and people are always asking, it's like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? I do have a favorite color, but mostly I am so bad at choosing favorites, any kind of favorite. And really my favorite thing in the whole world, and this sounds so dumb, it sounds like a cop-out every time I say it, like I'm not allowed to say that, but my favorite thing is anything that's new, anything I've never experienced, anything I've never investigated, anything that, it can be super, super old, like it doesn't have to be the newest tech, the newest gadgets, the newest fashion. It can be something very old, something that's been done many times, but if it's new to me, something I haven't experienced before, that is my favorite thing. For me, it's very important when I want to try and stay true to myself to actually allow whatever comes in the moment to just be. To not force any conformity on it, to not force any prior understanding or prior experience onto the present moment. As much as possible, I don't like to plan. I don't like to put things into place ahead of time. I like to show up in the moment and do it. And I know that doesn't always work, and I can plan. I can be very good at planning, but if I can at all get away with not planning, I will. And it's not that I show up and I then put all the responsibility on other people. I'll totally take charge of the situation, but I want to be able to walk in and just feel the environment and live and experience it and let things come to me rather than forcing anything on it. When it comes to photography, I think it's very important to have this balance between planning what you're going to be doing in your photo shoot, planning how your photos are going to look, planning what you want your end result to be like, and also allowing the moment, allowing the people in your photos, allowing your environment, all of these things to change and dictate how exactly that end result is going to be achieved. A little bit of what I mean by this is things like exactly that photo that I was talking about in the beginning. We had to set things up like the camera, we had to put it on a timer, we needed to get everybody into the shot, and we sat, basically we had this couch. And so we had like the first row of people or layer of people sat on the couch like in a normal way. And then we had a couple people sitting like on the armrest, and then a couple people leaning on the back and kind of standing on the side. We had a lot of people on the front, sitting on the floor. I was in the group on the floor in the front. And I think the picture that was the better setup, actually, it was a little bit more, how do I describe this? The one picture kind of had one gap in the front left corner where there wasn't really anybody sitting there or anything. And so in the second picture, somebody actually moved and kind of filled that space. And I think that was a much better setup. But I actually don't like that picture, like I said, as much. I want to like it because it looks right. It is everything that my photography brain wants is in that photo. But I actually like the first photo more because it was more real, more expressive in everyone's faces, but in particular this one boy's face. And so that is what I mean. You can set things up, you can plan it, you can put it all in line, you can make sure all of everybody's exactly where they need to be, but you have to give space and allow for that organic that organic expression to come through your photos. And I think that's what creates the best and most amazing, most memorable photos. And I remember with these two photos that we took, obviously you kind of like check the picture, is everybody's eyes open, is everything right? And then we see his face, and I'm like, I love that face. But all the adults are like, no, you need to smile, you need to look nice. And so on the next picture, he's kind of still goofy, but he's also trying to be less goofy. And then it just wasn't as nice. It wasn't as expressive and as memorable to me, whose memory it is, to have that less expressive face. Now, I'm not saying you need to have a goofy face in every one of your photos. If your personality is not to be goofy in that way, don't do it in any of your photos. You don't have to do there's nothing that you have to do in a photo. And that is what I'm trying to say. Try the best you can to make your photos as true to yourself as you possibly can. And there are so many ways you can do this, and I think the best way is to just write down what makes me me, what is my personality. And I want to do more videos on like exactly how to bring that out, how to put that into your photos, because I think that is what makes the photos not only the best and the most memorable, but that is what creates the most incredible art, is when you're true to yourself, when you express yourself, when it is out of the box, or you create your own box. Like, you don't have to feel like you have to be crazy and wild, but just make it yourself, make it your own. If that means taking a box that's been created but just decorating it in your own way, or taking a style but just making a little emphasis on something specific, or bringing yourself, you can be as generic or as unique as you want to be. It's not about following the trend or not following the trend. It's about following yourself and expressing yourself. So tell me, what are the things that you do in a photo shoot? What are the things that you look back and you're like, that was me, that's exactly how I want to be seen, that's exactly how I want to represent myself, but most importantly, I see myself in that photo. I want to hear your experiences. I want to see the pictures that you've taken that show yourself. And if you haven't ever had that experience, if you've always felt like your photos don't feel like you, take this as a sign to allow yourself to be yourself, to stay true to yourself, to take photos, whether it's with a friend or with a selfie stick, or having a professional photographer come in and help you to find who you are and just be yourself in a photo. I truly think that photography can be one of the most amazing ways of actually getting to know yourself, of seeing yourself, on that picture, finding out who you are from another perspective, reflecting on that, and becoming more and more true to the self that you want to be. If you resonated with any of this, or maybe this stirred up any new ideas in your mind, I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. See you next time.